course witnesses are staying anonymous. They're terrified of threats and bullying. It's a very neutral and interesting piece. She can't prepare for what she doesn't know they have. And again, they have a lot. Now the Hollywood Reporter has seemingly outed the two actresses' names. They're pretty much being bullied to respond.
Hollywood's elite often seem untouchable, but sometimes the carefully constructed facade crumbles. Imagine a Hollywood A-lister, known for her poise and strength, suddenly facing a complete meltdown. It sounds like a movie plot, but this is real life, and it's unfolding right now around Blake Lively. A fearless Hollywood reporter decided to drop a truth bomb, and the fallout has been nothing short of explosive. We're talking career-ending territory, accusations flying, and a public image taking a nosedive. What started as a seemingly innocuous magazine cover has spiraled into a brutal takedown, exposing cracks in a narrative that many once blindly accepted. Get ready, because the glossy world of Hollywood is about to get a whole lot less shiny.
As TMZ is now reporting, of course witnesses are staying anonymous. They're terrified of threats and bullying. Now this smells like Blake's PR team trying to spin why they're not coming forward. Even if Justin was too huggy or whatever the heck, or said she was sexy, none of this warrants this. And you still have to atone for what you did. Guys, she goes in and there's a lot of Twitter complaints, some of which, 2 or 3 of them are horrid and shouldn't be there. But some of them are spot on. There's a lot of comments that she puts in here that you're just like, why would you want to take over someone's movie? The outfits in this end are so out of touch. No, we don't want to watch bullies like Blake. So I found that incredibly telling. Hidden in a little footnote, her protection that, well, you know, I was told they were lawfully obtained. Yikes. Big yikes. And there is not a shred of evidence to support it. Really? Really? Really?
It all began with what appeared to be a simple illustration gracing the cover of The Hollywood Reporter. Picture Blake Lively, slingshot in hand, aiming at Justin Baldoni. At first glance, quirky, maybe even a little humorous. But beneath the surface, this image was a calculated strike. It wasn't just art, it was a declaration of war, wrapped in glossy print. Suddenly, Lively found herself the target of a backlash she seemingly never anticipated. The medieval cartoon weapon imagery, splashed across the cover, became instant meme fodder. TMZ jumped on the story, amplifying the absurdity, and the internet collectively raised an eyebrow. This wasn't just a magazine cover, it was the opening shot in a very public dismantling.
It was just because of the way he is culturally with his religion. I want to go through some of these pieces because hear me out. Here it is. So from the outset, the feud's been framed as the newest chapter in Hollywood's ongoing fight for gender equality. Even before It Ends With Us, Baldoni wasn't afraid to interject elements of his religion on the set. He did talk about his religion a lot, says a source, on 5 Feet Apart. This had shades of Scientology, but with less of the prominence and people hovering at the times. I think that's being mean. Nothing I've done makes it anywhere near the criminal accusations and things that Scientology does. So while Team Blake Lively may think they have the upper hand, sources say she has no idea what's coming regarding her battle with Justin Baldoni. Yeah, it's a little bit more pro-Blake than I think the reality is, but it is more neutral than most Hollywood trade pieces I've seen, and it brings in something much more interesting, which is this leap of faith. Look, Team Justin has not given up, and they are being incredibly aggressive because Brian Friedman is doing his job. This is what he does. It's a winning strategy, and he pretty much can't lose at this point, it seems, because Blake's been unable to provide anything realistic.
In response, Blake Lively's PR team sprang into action, attempting to spin the narrative faster than a Hollywood scandal can trend on Twitter. Their defense? Sexism, naturally. They slammed the cover as playing into negative stereotypes, painting Lively as the aggressor simply for speaking out. But the move backfired spectacularly. Instead of rallying support, it ignited mockery. The internet, as it often does, saw straight through the spin. The irony was too rich. A celebrity who built an image on female empowerment, seemingly crumbling over a magazine cover. Where were the receipts? People clamored. Instead of concrete evidence, they got the classic outrage playbook, and the audience was not buying it. Mission accomplished indeed, but not in the way Team Lively intended.
They're showing a little ankle, but not the whole leg, if you know what I mean. I'm sure she wouldn't approve of that reference. Too sexist. She thinks she knows what they have, everything that's on the website, so she can prepare for that, but she can't prepare for what she doesn't know they have. And again, they have a lot. Justin kept everything. Now, why? Why would he have kept everything? That's a good question. Well, did you think he did something wrong? Or could the, interactions on set have been so uncomfortable for some, it was just because of the way he is culturally with his religion. There's another possibility, one that has less to do with gender than it does with simple cultural misunderstandings. What if much of it, the alleged inappropriate hugging, which Blake mentioned in her new amended suit, the pre-filming praying, could be explained as a clash between a very specific faith-driven community with its unique mores and a much more modern post-Me Too one with its own set of beliefs and commandments. I've never worked with a male director who was so worried about everyone's emotional and mental well-being. There was an openness and emotionality to a style that was more typical of a woman, and it probably wouldn't be an issue if it was a female director.
But the Hollywood Reporter article didn't stop at a provocative illustration. It went deeper, venturing into territory that truly shifted the ground beneath Blake Lively's feet. The piece highlighted Justin Baldoni's Baha'i faith. Suddenly, the narrative twisted. What had been framed as a clear-cut case of harassment began to morph into something far more nuanced, a cultural misunderstanding. The article subtly suggested that Baldoni's actions, perhaps rooted in his religious background and cultural expressions, might not have been malicious at all. Instead, they were presented as potentially misinterpreted gestures, viewed through the hypersensitive lens of post-Me Too Hollywood. This wasn't about black and white anymore. Shades of gray were creeping into the picture, and for Blake Lively, that was a dangerous development.
But Justin genuinely believes that if we do this, we'll work better as a group. There's a little bit of an arrogance to it. If it's like he doesn't want to acknowledge the world we live in, which is that most people don't want to do this kumbaya. Now, Blake, allegedly, according to these sources, and there's a lot of stuff in here, whole piece is worth a read. Now, Blake has shared with friends, allegedly, that she considers this a fight that's bigger than her, one likely to be remembered as the spark that ignited the next chapter of the Me Too movement. On the other side is a billionaire producer, a novice filmmaker, director, and a small Baha'i, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I think it's Baha'i employees who believe they are simply living up to the moral code of their faith. There's a version of this where Justin Baldoni was just Michael Scott in The Office, where he's just saying inappropriate things, but not with any ill will. But Blake Lively, much more different culturally, more about the power and thinking that this is about the feminist Me Too movement. And how dare you do this? She doesn't provide any text. She doesn't tell us who these people are. Just says they don't want to get involved right now, given all the toxic virality out there, and that they will testify if necessary and be part of disclosures, etc., coming up, depositions, what have you.
Then came the bombshell: deleted text messages. As the legal battle intensified, it emerged that Blake Lively's team had strategically removed key text exchanges from their amended lawsuit. This strategic omission, as legal experts termed it, didn't go unnoticed. Red flags shot up across the board. Why delete evidence if your case is solid? The move screamed desperation, suggesting that the truth wasn't quite as clear-cut as Lively's team was portraying. Legal analysts wasted no time pointing out the significance. Deleting critical evidence? That's not just a minor oversight. It's a neon sign flashing "weak case ahead." The cracks in Blake Lively's narrative were starting to widen into gaping fissures.
The first thing I noticed is, as I compared it to the last one, a lot of texts were actually removed. This is the new document, as I made a note here, but as you'll notice here, this is the original complaint. As you can see, that first text is still there, but she removed, they removed quite a few texts. He doesn't realize how lucky he is right now. We need to press on him how effing lucky. The whispering in the ear, the connotations, the JFC, other members feeling uncomfortable watching it. I mean, there's just so much. Justin revealed the context of these texts because they did look more nefarious, but the context, if you read the full exchange, shows that Justin's publicists are saying it doesn't even matter if it's not true. Wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece. That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best. Remember the removing emojis, the fact that this is all out of context? Well, they addressed that in a footnote that I found incredibly interesting. Jones' work produced the communications to Miss Lively in a connection with a lawful subpoena, and the documents included within this complaint are attached in the format in which they were produced subject to the subpoena. Miss Lively has understood the produced documents, the text messages that were in her original complaint and are in this one. She has understood the produced documents and communications to have been lawfully obtained. That's how she understood it. They were lawfully obtained, maintained, and produced by Jones' work.
Enter Justin Baldoni's defense team, led by the formidable Brian Friedman. Their strategy? Aggression and evidence. No vague accusations, no he said, she said. Baldoni's camp launched a robust counterattack, systematically dismantling Lively's claims with cold, hard facts. Texts, calls, emails. A mountain of documented evidence emerged, directly contradicting Lively's version of events. Suddenly, this wasn't a battle of public opinion anymore. It was a reality check, and Baldoni's receipts were stacking up faster than paparazzi photos outside a Hollywood premiere. The narrative was shifting again, and this time, it was moving decidedly away from Blake Lively.
Images such as emojis, when available in a preserved screenshot, for example, were attached as produced. So the way I take this is, well, if those texts weren't real or they were edited, it wasn't our fault, they were Jones' work. But girl, they are your fault. What you're calling retaliation is them defending themselves against your out of context, picked and choose text messages that may have been unlawfully gotten. So I found that incredibly telling. Hidden in a little footnote, her protection that, well, you know, I was told they were lawfully obtained. I want to go through two sections where she attempts to address the taking over of the film, which is very telling. None of the requested protections were tied anyways to Miss Lively's creative input in the film and were made months before discussions regarding the cut of the film.
So, what's really at play here? Is this a case of cultural clash? A simple misunderstanding blown out of proportion? Or is it something more calculated, a power play masked as righteous indignation? Baldoni's affectionate demeanor, his tendency towards warm hugs and open displays of emotion, characteristics perhaps rooted in his Baha'i faith, were now being presented not as harassment, but as simply him. Unconventional maybe in the rigid world of Hollywood, but not malicious. Contrast this with reports emerging of Blake Lively's iron grip on set, her authoritarian behavior, her alleged attempts to micromanage every detail of the production. Was this lawsuit truly about justice, about creating a safe work environment? Or was it, at its core, about control, about a star accustomed to getting her way, facing a reality she couldn't dictate?
At that time and moment, with the completion of the film uncertain, Miss Lively did not request, nor did she receive, any creative rights, editing rights, credits, or any other role on the film beyond her roles as an actress and executive producer. The notion that she did all this as some sort of Byzantine plot to take control of the movie at some future point, which she did not do in any event, is absurd. This Maximum Effort could have been taken over, which it was. Maximum Effort, her husband's production company, literally took over the marketing, as Justin's proven, which she does not admit in this either. I had leverage and I didn't use it. I merely set up this whole precedent, you know, so it could help the crew. Yeah, right. As if that also wouldn't establish a control pattern that you then used and made everyone afraid of you. And it brings in something much more interesting, which is this leap of faith. Did the director's Baha'i religion play what role did it play on set? And could all of this just gone wrong because of one big cultural misunderstanding?
The internet verdict is in, and it's brutal. What began as potential public sympathy for Blake Lively has mutated into relentless backlash. Memes, sarcastic commentary, ruthless critiques. Her legal drama has become a giant internet punchline. The public, once seemingly loyal, has turned. Faith in her narrative has evaporated, replaced by glaring questions and accusations of manipulation. Her erratic legal tactics, the deleted texts, the shifting stories, it all paints a picture of a narrative unraveling at the seams. This isn't just a scandal, it's a Hollywood train wreck in slow motion, and everyone is watching, captivated by the unfolding drama. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over, and the next chapter promises to be even more shocking than the last.
Meanwhile, you're holding everything over his head as if he does anything, he's screwed. I mean, this is, it's shocking, but it gets worse. It gets worse. On one incident, they're filming the slow dance. As you recall, you can pause and watch this, read this again. Remember what she said in her original complaint about the dance sequence? Oh my God, wait till you see how she changes it now due to the filming being released. It's unbelievable how she attempts to frame this. She tries to play it here, and you can pause and read it yourself. Mr. Baldoni did not provide notice or seek consent for any intimacy in advance. He chose to spontaneously improvise the scene while the cameras were rolling. None of this took place while he was in character as Ryle, because both the intimacy and dialogue departed from what had been agreed to in the script. which was slow dancing in their own world, drinking, watching. What she's failing to mention is it's a big part in the book. They don't kiss right away.